Good morning, Shravani. Good morning, everyone. Sound is fine. Is it audible, right? Okay. So before we continue, we will revise some few things. What was the last topic we did? Last topic in the last class. No, that was not the last topic. Last topic of the last class. Yeah, it was galvanometer, right? Current sensitivity. That is subtopic. Tejas, you are telling me about subtopic also. Okay. Yeah, those are subtopics. But the last, Sanjit, correct only. But the last major topic that we were doing was moving coil galvanometer. So the whole idea of moving coil galvanometer is if you put a current loop, listen carefully now, stop writing. If you put a current loop in a magnetic field, it will experience a torque. It will experience a torque. Now, how to remember it very easily? How to remember in a very easy way? You know from first chapter, electric dipole in electric field experiences a torque. Similarly, current loops in magnetism chapter, current loops behave like magnetic dipole. So magnetic dipole in magnetic field will also experience a torque. But before we do all that, let us just revise the last class quickly once. Okay, we will try to revise all the things that we discussed the last class. So I told you if you have two parallel current carrying wires, if you have two parallel current carrying wires, then they will attract or repel. What did I teach you that time? It is opposite to charges. In charges, like charges will repel. Here these are like currents. So like currents means current in the same direction. So these like currents will attract. Let us try to see why it is attracting. Why it is attracting. Okay. So you know that this straight current carrying wire will produce magnetic field here this way. Okay, this is the magnetic field produced by this current carrying wire. Let me write B1. Then this current carrying wire, here it will produce inside, but I want on this wire. So this current carrying wire will produce magnetic field outside. So this is magnetic field produced by this current carrying wire. Now you know from the previous topic, whenever a straight conductor carrying current is in a magnetic field, external magnetic field. Why external? Because this is produced by this current, remember. So when this straight conductor is kept in a external magnetic field, it will experience a magnetic force. What was the formula for that force? How I told you to remember? BIL, brother-in-law. So what is the force on this? What is the force on this conductor? Let us choose some length of the conductor. So let us say I choose this much length. So force on this will be BIL. B should be the external magnetic field. B, I in this is I2 L. Correct? Huh? Everybody understood? External magnetic field on this wire is B1. Current in this wire is I2. Length I have chosen L. Okay. Now, what is the formula for this magnetic field, which is produced by this current carrying wire? That formula was mu naught I1, because it is produced by this current, divided by 2 pi R. What was R? This distance. Correct now? So substitute this magnetic field. Mu naught I1 2 pi R I2 L. So this is how you can find so easily force between two parallel current carrying straight wires. Okay, students. Of course, this is force on some length. Now, if you want force per unit length, you divide by length. Okay, students, you can do the same thing for this wire also. Now, what about the direction of the force? You can use cross product. Current, this current is this side, and L bar actual formula is this. No, this is the actual formula. In vector form, if you write, this is the formula. Current is in this wire I2. Magnetic field is because of this wire, so B1. Now this is magnitude. If I do, it will be AB sine theta formula. A bar cross B bar. So sine theta means what? L bar is always along current. So this is your L bar. L bar is here. Magnetic field is inside. So angle is 90 degree. So this will be sine 90 degree will be 1. No need to write here. Okay. Direction will be where? Magnetic field is inside. Current is up. So force will be towards the left side. So this will be the direction of the force. Therefore, this wire will also feel force this side. Check that yourself. Magnetic field is out. Current is, magnetic field is out. Magnetic field is out. Current is up for this wire. So force is this side. Okay. So they will attract. You can see easily. Then what I did using this formula, which is force on a straight conductor in a magnetic field, we found that torque on a current loop. Does anyone remember what kind of current loop we have chosen? What kind of current loop I have chosen? Circular or triangular or rectangular? For board exam, what kind of current loop we have chosen? Rectangular we have chosen, right? So if you take a rectangular current loop like this, okay, and you apply magnetic field, uniform magnetic field, and let's say current is going this way. This is current I. Now this is a loop, so it will have a magnetic dipole moment. Formula is current times area. Direction will be wherever is area vector. Which area vector? This area vector. Direction of area vector you know from Gauss law, perpendicular to the surface. But perpendicular can be here also, there also. So how to find? Curl your fingers along the current. So magnetic field will be perpendicular to this plane. So if the plane is kept like this, if the plane is kept like this, magnetic moment will be here. If the plane is kept like this, magnetic moment will be here. Okay. So please remember, when you change the plane, magnetic moment direction will change. Then if you remember, I told force on this part will be here. Force on this part will be here. Those two forces will cancel in magnitude and they will not produce torque also because they are acting in the same line. Then I told this part will feel force inside the board. This part will feel force outside the board. Okay, so because of these two forces, this whole loop will rotate. Matlab it will experience a torque. And the formula for the torque I derive by looking from this side. So if you look from this side, this part I can show this way. Correct now? So this part is this part, top part. Then magnetic moment I told is perpendicular. So magnetic moment will be perpendicular to the plane. This is the plane. When you see from the top, magnetic field is applied like this. You can see the direction. So let's say this angle is theta. Okay. Then I told this line will feel force this way. And this line will feel force this way. Right? This is in force. This is out force. What was the formula for the force? BIL formula. But I have to write B, B, BIL. But for L, this part is I wrote B. This part was L, remember. This part was B. Okay. So once I know the force, what I need to do is find the perpendicular distance between the force. Find the perpendicular distance between the force. So torque is given by perpendicular distance into magnitude of one of the force. So perpendicular distance is this, remember. Now this part is B. Oh, sorry, this is L only. Because this is force on this part, right? This part has length L, no? So this is L only. Now how to find perpendicular distance? This is B. This is perpendicular to this. This magnetic field is perpendicular to this. So if this is theta, this was also theta. So perpendicular distance is B sine theta. B sine theta because it is opposite side of this triangle and this is your hypotenuse. So perpendicular distance is b sine theta, force is BIL. So finally you can see the torque formula will be I capital B L into what is length into breadth. I can write it as area into magnetic field into sine theta. Right? Length into breadth, I can write area. Then you know this current times area is magnetic dipole moment. So this is the torque experienced by a magnetic dipole, which is nothing but current loop kept in a uniform magnetic field. And theta, remember, is angle between magnetic moment and magnetic field. Just now I have shown you, right? So can somebody tell me, suppose this is the plane, current is flowing like this, let us assume. If this is the plane and I apply magnetic field this way, what is theta right now? If this is the plane, current is flowing like this, and I keep magnetic field like this, what is the angle between magnetic moment? Some are saying 90 degree, very good. So you are not remembering, very good, 90 degree, very good means more will write 90 degree. Magnetic moment is where magnetic moment is perpendicular to the plane. Magnetic moment, ayyo Rama. Current into area, no. Just now I told. So magnetic moment direction will be area vector. Area vector will be this way. Magnetic field also I am keeping this way only. So angle is what? 0. So if angle is 0, torque will be 0. So remember, if the plane is kept like this and magnetic field is applied perpendicular to the plane, perpendicular to the plane matlab parallel to magnetic moment. Because magnetic moment is found by this rule only, same rule that you apply for magnetic field. So magnetic moment is here, external magnetic field is also here, understood? Therefore, torque on this will be 0. What if I keep like this? Now what will be theta? Area vector is where? For this you try to find area vector. So now area vector is this side. So area vector is here means magnetic moment is here, magnetic field is here. So theta is 90 degree. So torque will be in the direction of M cross B. So what you do from M, this is your M. So M cross B. So torque will be along the thumb, but forget that part. Since you know M is this way, magnetic moment is this way, magnetic field is applied here. So M cross B when you do, rotation will be this way. So this will rotate this way. Okay. So please imagine, please consider this special case. Please write down this part, all of you. If your current loop is this way, then magnetic moment will be here. Okay. This is inside the board, this is outside the board. Okay, like this. So magnetic moment will be here. So now, if you apply magnetic field this way only, if you apply magnetic field this way, if you apply magnetic field this way, this is external, okay, external, not the magnetic field produced by this current, no ma. So if magnetic field external is applied like this, then the torque will be 0. Why torque will be 0? Because theta will be 0. Which theta? This theta. Why? Because theta is angle between magnetic moment and magnetic field, external. So here the coil will not rotate. This is what we call stable equilibrium. Stable equilibrium. Write down somewhere. Stable equilibrium. Okay. Now suppose I rotate this coil such that, or maybe, yeah. So I will rotate the coil and keep it like this. Okay. If I keep it like this, magnetic moment will be inside the board. Magnetic moment will be inside the board, and suppose I keep the magnetic field same. So now you know theta is 90 degree. Theta is 90 degree, right? So torque will be how much now? mb, which is maximum. And in what direction will be torque? That is important. See, magnetic moment is inside the board. Magnetic field is here. So m cross b. So rotation will be this way. So if this is the diameter, it will rotate this way. Okay, like this. It is kept like this. It will rotate this way. It will rotate till it comes parallel to, till magnetic moment becomes parallel to magnetic field. Then it will be in equilibrium. Of course, it will not stop there because it has inertia, so it will rotate. So later on, we have to find time period of this rotation, time period of this oscillation actually. Okay. Write down. So current here I'm saying is, so what I did here is, before the coil was kept like this, so magnetic moment was here. Then I rotate this and I keep it this way. So magnetic moment is always perpendicular to the plane. And if I keep magnetic field parallel to the plane, if magnetic field is parallel to the plane, it will be perpendicular to the magnetic moment. So torque will be maximum, and direction of torque should be found by doing m cross b. Of course, torque will be down only, but that means rotation will be this way. So this way rotation means, if I see from here, it is clockwise. So it will rotate clockwise. Okay. I think these two cases I did not do. So please write down. Okay. After doing this torque, we went for galvanometer. There was a gap of 3 days, so I am trying to revise. So when we went to galvanometer, I told there will be a deflecting torque. There will be a deflecting torque given by whatever formula we derived, mb sin theta. And m was current into area. But how many turns we used? N turns. So we have to multiply with n. So if you remember, we took a cylindrical, what kind of core we took? Which material we took? What kind of material was taken for the cylindrical core? I gave a special name, not just iron. It was soft iron. So soft iron was taken, and there we wrapped like this some turns. Okay, like this. Then we passed current, which we want to measure actually. And this much was the torque. Then if you remember, we made theta 90 degree. We made theta 90 degree throughout. At all times. Matlab, if this is the plane, we arrange the magnetic field in such a way that no matter whether the plane is here or here or here, magnetic field is always parallel to the plane. If magnetic field is parallel to the plane, external magnetic field, then magnetic moment will be perpendicular to the magnetic field. So we arrange the magnetic field in such a way that whether the plane is this way or this way, magnetic field lines was parallel to this plane. So if magnetic field is parallel to the plane, then magnetic moment will be perpendicular. Therefore, theta will be 90. What kind of magnetic field we arranged? Special name was there. It was radial magnetic field. Very good. So then the deflecting torque was this much. Now, because of this deflecting torque, very good. Because of this deflecting torque, there was a spring. So the spring got twisted. So then there was a restoring torque. And restoring torque is proportional to the amount of twist. The more is the angular displacement of the soft iron core, the more is the restoring torque. So it was proportional to the angle deflected by which the soft iron core will rotate. And therefore the pointer will rotate that much. There was a pointer, if you remember. It was a spring like this, and there was a pointer here. And the coil was here. This was the coil. Okay. So when it rotates, this pointer will also rotate. Okay. So this was proportional to the angular twist. This constant was called torsion constant. So I told you under the action of this deflecting torque, the moment you pass current, there is magnetic field. Remember, in a galvanometer, there will be magnets. So once you pass current in the galvanometer, because of this current, there will be a deflecting torque. Once there is a deflecting torque, there will be a restoring torque, ulta. So they will balance each other in equilibrium. So in equilibrium, when the needle will finally stop because of some damping forces which we will discuss later. So when the needle will stop somewhere here, after this much angle it has rotated, that time what will happen? This will be balanced by this. So deflecting torque will be balanced by restoring torque. And then we found deflection is equal to NAB by C times current. And this was constant. This was constant. Therefore, deflection is proportional to current. So this was how we measure current by using the angular deflection. So by measuring this angular deflection, we can measure current. So what you can do, pass 1 ampere, see how much it deflects. Write there 1 ampere. That writing part you have to do, no, on the scale. God will not do. Yeah, concave poles of magnet was used. So then you pass double current. So if you push double current, deflection will be also double. So it will go this side. So it will be 2 ampere. So this way you can mark the scale. Okay, so now class will start. How much time I spent? 20 minutes already gone. So you need to revise, students, whatever topics are done before the class one day like that, you have to revise. Okay, otherwise the class will look very confusing. Fine. So now today we will try to do a topic which is very important for 3 marks. Conversion of galvanometer, I will write like this in short, into ammeter. Okay. Now for NEET exams and all, this topic you also try to think this way. JEE also, CET also. For this topic you think this way. Increasing range of ammeter. Range of ammeter. Okay. So basically when you try to convert galvanometer into ammeter, basically what we are trying to do is we are trying to increase the range of the measurement. So this galvanometer can measure up to, let's say, 1 milliampere or 2 ampere or 10 ampere. Let's say you want to make a bigger ammeter. Bigger ammeter matlab not in size. Bigger ammeter matlab more range. Then same idea you have to use. Okay, you will understand. First you remember, just write this topic, this side topic also. This is for entrance. Okay. Okay, first of all, let us ask why we need to convert. I mean, directly why we cannot use galvanometer. So the problem is this. Look here. Suppose there is a battery, 10 volt, no internal resistance, forget. And I put external resistance, let's say 5 ohm. Now how much current is flowing? How much current is flowing? This is baby question. Baby question actually. Class 10 students can also say, you people can 100% say I know, but at least one of you should say quickly so that I can continue. So 2 ampere. But how did you find this? 50 ampere. Huh? How it is 50 ampere? How did you find 2 ampere? How did you find 2 ampere? You used Ohm's law. You used Ohm's law, right? So using Ohm's law, you found that it is 2 ampere. V by R, correct. Now, suppose you don't know Ohm's law. Now, if I don't know Ohm's law, but you have ammeter, sorry, you have galvanometer, let us say, galvanometer right now. So if you don't know, you don't know Ohm's law, so you can't measure it because you don't know Ohm's law. But you know that, but you have a current measuring device, galvanometer. So what you do, you put the galvanometer here. Now, galvanometer itself is made up of coils, remember. So, galvanometer itself will have resistance. So, suppose the resistance of the galvanometer, which I write capital G, is suppose 100 ohm, or let's say 95 ohm to make it simple. Let us say it is 95 ohm. Now, when I measure the current, how much the galvanometer will show? Voltage is 10. Resistance is how much now? 95 and 5 in series. 95 and 5 in series. So it will be 100. So current will be 0.1 ampere. Right? Current will be 0.1 ampere. So your galvanometer will show 0.1 ampere. But you are trying to measure 1 ampere, no? See, galvanometer's job is to tell you how much current was flowing. But the moment I put the galvanometer, what happened? Current has changed. You understood or not? You understood or not? If I want to know your name, the process of asking the name should not change your name. If I, while asking your name, Nisarga, what is your name? And it becomes Chintana, okay? Then I will not know the real name. So similarly, current was actually 1 ampere. So by putting galvanometer, it should tell me 1 ampere, whatever current was flowing. But by putting galvanometer, what has happened? You have seen that the current has changed. So you are not getting the truth. So in order to get the truth, the actual current flowing in the circuit, what should be the ideal resistance of this? Ideally, what should be the resistance of this galvanometer? What should be the ideal resistance so that current will be 1 ampere, whatever it was before? Yes. So one thing you have understood, ideally emitters matlab current measuring device should have zero resistance. 1 mark question for your board exam. 1 mark question for your board exam. Please write, Madi, write down somewhere. Ideally, emitter should have zero resistance, because emitters we always connect in series to measure the current. Of course, you can put in parallel, but your circuit will burn if you do like that. I will tell you later why. So remember, ideally emitter should have zero resistance. Okay, this is very important. Now the point is, how am I going to make this galvanometer, which has 95 ohm resistance, how am I going to make it zero resistance? Zero resistance is impossible, but ideal is impossible. Ideal teacher is not there, ideal student is not there. So ideal emitter also will not be there. Of course, in question they can say, assume ideal emitter like that. But we will not be able to make the resistance 100% zero. But we should try to be ideal. We should try to make the resistance as small as possible. And how can we do that? Very simple. You just put a small resistance in parallel to the galvanometer. What did I say? Connect a small resistance in parallel with the galvanometer. That way what will happen? The overall resistance will become more smaller. I hope everybody remembers 2 ohm and 3 ohm. If you connect in parallel, total will be how much? 2 into 3, 2 plus 3, 6 by 5, 1.2. See, it has become smaller than the smallest resistance. Understanding or not? So by connecting a very small resistance in parallel to the galvanometer, we can make it into a emitter. Or for your entrance, by connecting a small resistance in parallel to an emitter, you can make it a higher range emitter. Higher range. I will write, don't worry. So I hope everybody understood the technique, what we are going to do. So look here, everybody. So to convert a galvanometer into emitter, we connect a small resistance in parallel to the galvanometer. In parallel to the galvanometer. Okay. Now this small resistance has a name. It is called shunt. It is called shunt. Okay. So please remember this. So if you have a galvanometer and you want to make it into an ammeter, you need to calculate this shunt, this small resistance. Once you calculate it, then you can connect it in parallel. Your ammeter will come out. So first you write this part. So to convert a galvanometer into ammeter, we connect a small resistance in parallel to galvanometer. That small resistance is also called shunt. Now we need to calculate this shunt. Simply you cannot say we need a shunt like that. How much shunt we need, how much small resistance we need, that we have to calculate. So look here. So this is your galvanometer. Here you have to put a small resistance. Shunt. Okay. So this thing is your ammeter. This is your ammeter. This is your ammeter. Now let us say, listen carefully, let capital G be resistance of galvanometer. Capital G be what? Resistance of galvanometer, and IG be the full scale deflection current. Now you have to understand the meaning of this. Full scale deflection current means when you had, listen carefully, stop writing. If you have only galvanometer, that time how much current should pass so that the needle will deflect fully. That is called full scale deflection current. Or if you want to write in proper English, you can say the current which gives full scale deflection in the galvanometer. Matlab, it is basically range of galvanometer. It is range of galvanometer. Okay. Again, that bracket part is for your NEET preparation. So this is basically the range of the galvanometer. Let us say you have a galvanometer whose range is 2 ampere. Matlab, up to 2 ampere, if you pass 2 ampere, it will deflect fully. Now, that means here, let us say I current is coming. And what is I? I is the range of the ammeter. Range of the new ammeter which you are trying to make. So two things you must know, 3 things actually. First, resistance of galvanometer should be given to you, otherwise what is the point? So resistance of galvanometer which you want to convert into ammeter, that should be given. Second, they should tell you what is the full deflection current required for galvanometer, full deflection. Then they have to tell you, you want to convert this galvanometer into ammeter, na? So they have to tell you what is the range of the new ammeter. How much range you want, 10 ampere, 30 ampere, 50 ampere, that has to be mentioned to you. Matlab, when I pass I current, this current, which is the maximum current which you want to measure, then some part will go here, and that part should be exactly equal to IG. Why? So that the needle will deflect fully. Because when this current will flow, what kind of deflection you will get? Full deflection. So pass I current, some part will go here. How much will go here? How much will go here? Out of this current, some part will go here. Here how much should go? Kirchhoff's current law you apply. I minus IG. Okay, write down quickly. So basically what I'm saying, listen here, you have a galvanometer whose range is up to, look this part, 0 to 2 ampere. Okay, so you have a galvanometer right now. Galvanometer, remember galvanometer, whose range is 2 amperes. Matlab, this is 2 ampere. Now you want to convert this into same galvanometer into, let us say, 10 ampere. Then you have to put a shunt here so that when 10 ampere flows in the circuit, in this circuit, when 10 ampere flows, this needle will deflect fully. Why? Because it needs 2 ampere to deflect fully. So when 10 ampere is flowing, 2 ampere should go here. Why 2 ampere? So that it can deflect fully. So now what you do? Just rub this and write here 10 ampere. That's it. So this is 10 ampere. No, in the circuit 10 ampere is flowing. So by passing 10 ampere here, the needle will deflect fully. See how much what number you write there is your wish. Okay. So that is how you are going to convert the range of galvanometer from Ig to I by putting a shunt. Okay. Now how to find shunt from here? Simple. These two are in parallel. Since galvanometer and shunt are in parallel, what must be same? What must be same? In parallel, what must be same? Voltage. So voltage, potential difference across G should be same as potential difference across shunt. So potential difference across, how G and S should be same. If these two are same, current is different, no? So in parallel, it is not that resistance should be same. In parallel, voltage should be same. Voltage matlab you can also write potential difference. Now apply Ohm's law for this potential difference. Ig into G, I into R, I into R. Apply potential difference for this shunt. So I minus Ig into shunt. Okay. So what will be shunt from here? Ig divided by I minus Ig into capital G. So this is the formula which you can use to calculate the shunt. And once we have found the shunt, put that value in parallel to the galvanometer. Then your range will increase from Ig to I. Make a note. So remember, the same topic can be also done by saying increasing range of emitter into another emitter. So this could be, you can consider this as emitter also. What is there? This current measuring device only. Now let us quickly, this is 3 marks, okay, up to here 3 marks. Now let us calculate the equivalent resistance of emitter, okay. So resistance of emitter. This is simple. So resistance of emitter will be what? G into S, G plus S. Why, sir? Because they are in parallel. R1, R2 by R1 plus R2. Now, see one note. Suppose we want to increase range of emitter n times. Okay, we want to increase the range n times. Matlab, initially your galvanometer or your ammeter was measuring 2 ampere. Now I want it to measure 10 ampere. So by what times I increased? 5 times it has to increase compared to its initial value, right? 10 is 5 times 2, right? So if this n is given, then how to find the shunt? What is the formula for shunt? Just now I derived Ig by I minus Ig into capital G, right? So what will be your formula now? I is the new range, Ig is the old range. Before it was measuring up to Ig. Now it is able to measure up to I. So I is given n times Ig. Substitute here. Ig n times Ig minus Ig. And here, instead of capital G, I will write resistance I. Why I write I here is because this is resistance of initial emitter. Initial emitter. Because the topic is to convert range of emitter, remember. So you already have an emitter whose range you want to increase from Ig to capital I. Understood? So this capital G was the resistance of your galvanometer, which now you have to think as an emitter, old emitter. Okay. So formula will be 1 by n minus 1 times I. If you want to write capital G, no problem. You can write capital G, no problem. But please consider this as resistance of the initial current measuring device. Whether it is galvanometer or ammeter, I don't really care. You can write G if you want, but you have to remember this is the resistance of the initial current measuring device, whatever it is, ammeter or galvanometer. So I'm writing both so that you don't get confused. So sometimes they give this n, just substitute this n here and calculate. How I got this, I hope everybody is clear. Take Ig common. If you take Ig common, Ig will cancel. So please students, again remember, let me just quickly recap. You had a galvanometer which can measure up to Ig. Now what you want? You want another current measuring instrument, which there is called ammeter, which can measure up to I. Okay, which can measure up to I. So you are trying to increase the range from Ig to I. So what you need to do is put here a shunt. And to calculate that shunt, you have to use this formula. So once you put the shunt in parallel to galvanometer, it will become an ammeter, whose range will be now I. Because now you can't pass Ig here now. If you pass Ig, then that Ig will divide. So what you need is here you pass maximum current that you want to measure now, which is 10 ampere, let's say, so that some part will go here. And how much should go there? Exactly that much should go, which will produce full deflection. Because this is the maximum current which you want to measure in the circuit, remember. Understood? So if this is 10 ampere, the current flowing here should be exactly that much, which will give full deflection. And that was initially maybe 2 ampere, 3 ampere. Understood, right? So without this shunt, you can measure up to this only. By putting shunt, you can measure up to this. Okay, now let us do the next topic, which is the last topic actually. Conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter. For your entrance, you can consider this topic as increasing range of voltmeter. Okay. So let us see now how are we going to use this device. How are we going to convert galvanometer into voltmeter? First, let us discuss. Imagine you have some resistance R, which is 10 ohm, and current here is I equals to 2 ampere. So this time I am giving you current, I am giving you resistance. You want to measure potential difference between these two. Quickly tell me, without wasting my time, what would be the potential difference? How this current is coming, don't ask me. I'm saying there is a current 2 ampere. So it is 20 volt. I into R, 2 into 10, 20 volt. Correct now, students? Okay. But this you were able to calculate because you know Ohm's law. Suppose you don't know Ohm's law, but you have a voltmeter. You have a voltmeter. So what you do, you put a voltmeter parallel to this. Remember, I current was coming before. I current was coming. So now, because there is voltmeter, this current will divide here. So 2 ampere will not go here exactly. So it may be maybe 1.8 ampere. In here, how much should go? 0.2 ampere. Okay. But now, what will be the voltage measured? What is the potential difference now? Once you put voltmeter in parallel, because voltmeter should measure potential difference between 2 points. So it is connected between those 2 points. So basically, if this is voltmeter, it measures potential difference between this point and this point. Now what will be the potential difference? 18 volt. Correct? But actually it was 20 volt. Actually it was 20 volt. Yes or no? Agree or not? It was 20 volt initially. That is what I wanted to measure. But by putting this voltmeter in parallel, I am seeing that I am getting only 18 volt. So there is a error. Okay, you can subtract 20 with 18. That will be your error, 2 volt. Then you divide 2 volt by 20. That will be your relative error. Then multiply with 100. That will be your percentage error by putting this voltmeter in parallel. Ideally, how much current should go there? Ideally, how much current should go there? So that you get 20 volt here. In order for here potential difference to be 20 volt, which we have already discussed, how much current should go there? 0 ampere. No current should go there. When will no current go there? If the resistance of this is how much? If the resistance of this is how much? When will no current go? Infinity. Infinity. So ideally, one more question, please write down. Ideally, resistance of voltmeter is infinity or infinite. Ideally, resistance of voltmeter is infinite. So these two things you please remember for your 1 mark question. Both can be asked for 2 mark also. So this is the concept. No need to write this part, but this one you have to write. Now the question is, how are we going to increase the range? Sorry, how are we going to make it into voltmeter? To make it into voltmeter, you have to make the resistance of galvanometer infinite. But infinite though we can't make. So what we have to try? We have to try to make it as large as possible. So what to do? What to do to make the resistance very high? Very simple. So to convert galvanometer into voltmeter, a very high resistance, unfortunately no name is given to this, don't call it shunt. A very high resistance is connected where? In series or in parallel? To increase the resistance, we want to increase the resistance. Disha, in series or in parallel? In series. Is connected in series to the galvanometer. Okay. This itself can be also asked for 1 mark. Write down. This itself can be asked for 1 mark. Now the next thing is we have to know how much resistance. It is good to know we have to put high resistance, but how much? Okay, write down. So now we have to calculate how much resistance is needed. This is for 3 marks. Okay. So look here. This is your galvanometer. So you have to connect a high resistance in series. high resistance in series. Okay, and this is your voltmeter. Voltmeter. Okay, so let us write some few things which should be given to you. So let G be resistance of galvanometer. That should be given all the time. Let Ig be full scale deflection current. Full scale deflection current. Matlab that current which will deflect the needle fully. And that you know why it is deflecting. Torque and all I explained or not? When you pass current, there will be deflecting torque, restoring torque. In equilibrium, it will settle somewhere depending on the current. So this is the current which gives full deflection. And since you want voltmeter now, you have to know the range of the voltmeter. So capital V is the range of voltmeter. Matlab, suppose somebody says, I want to measure up to 10 volt. Then this is your 10 volt, the maximum voltage which you want to measure. So now you want Ig current to flow here. I wrote small letter, no? So this current, if it flows, you know it will deflect fully according to whatever statement I wrote. That means when the voltage here is capital V, this voltage, potential difference here, remember this is a voltmeter. So when the potential difference here is capital V, which is the maximum voltage, the current here should deflect the needle fully. Now I remember one student asking me long back, sir, this will be in amperes, no? How will you measure voltage? Arey Baba, that number we are writing. So now we are putting this high resistance. And now I am saying, let us say the maximum voltage you want to measure is 10 volt. And let us say this is 2 ampere. Then what I should do, the arrangement, the resistance capital R should be chosen in such a way that when I apply 10 volt, 2 ampere should flow here so that this will deflect fully. And then you just mark here 10 volt like that. That's it. So if you apply 5 volt, it will go up to here. So this will be 5 volt because the needle will deflect half now. Understood or not? So that is the concept. So don't get confused how we are going to measure voltage. This marking we are writing. We can write 10 volt, whatever. Temperature also we can write. If you find some way that by changing temperature, if current here is changing, let us say, then you want to measure up to maximum temperature, let's say 100 degrees Celsius. That time you just put here when the temperature of this is 100 degrees Celsius, and if somehow the current is 2 ampere so that it deflects fully, then you put here 100 degrees Celsius. Right? That is current, that is measuring device. No, you can mark whatever you want. It's like thermometer. You are putting their marks by yourself. Okay. Now don't be so serious about this 10 volt and this 2 ampere. This was just example. Okay, students. So capital G is what? Resistance of galvanometer. Capital V is what? The range of the voltmeter which you want. Range of voltmeter. So now when I apply that maximum voltage, I know the needle should deflect fully because there I will put 10 volt if this is 10 volt. So needle should go up to that last mark, whatever last mark is there. So it should go up to there. So the current flowing here must be what current? Full scale deflection current. Okay. So now to find this capital R is easy. Apply Ohm's law. Apply Ohm's law. So this voltage will be equal to this voltage plus this voltage. Voltage here is Ig into G plus voltage here is Ig into R. Yes or no? Because same current will flow in both of them. It is in series. So voltage will be Ig into G plus R. You can write directly also this. Total resistance is G plus R. So current into total resistance also you can write. Then I want R, remember. So G plus R will be voltage divided by Ig. maximum voltage divided by the current which deflects the needle fully. So therefore capital R will be V by Ig minus capital G. Okay, right now. So this is up to here is for 3 marks. Done? Writing part is done. Okay. So remember these two formula. You already know the story behind. So now you have to just remember the formula. Now one note you see, note. Okay. Suppose we want to increase range of voltmeter n times. Okay, n times. Matlab, initially, whatever voltage measuring instrument you had, it was measuring up to, let's say, 2 volt. Now you want it to measure up to 10 volt. Then what technique we have to do? Same technique. Let me explain. So this is the formula I know. R equal to V by Ig minus G. Right? Now, when you had only galvanometer, this is your initial situation. Okay. Suppose you are using this as voltmeter, suppose. Then when Ig current was flowing, here some Ig current was flowing, that time it will deflect fully, right? So that time the voltage applied here, V dash, let me write V dash, no problem. So this was the initial range. Understanding or not? So when this much voltage was applied initially, when you had only galvanometer, please concentrate. When you had only galvanometer, that time when you apply V dash, let us say Ig current flows, matlab it will deflect fully. Matlab this will be your maximum voltage initially, okay? That is your initial range. Now you want this to become a voltmeter. Then what you should do, I told you have to connect a high resistance in series. So when you do that, the voltage here now is capital V, current will be Ig, so that this needle will deflect fully. Okay. So for this, what I calculated are for this. Okay, for this circuit, I already have measured the resistance which you need to connect in series is V by Ig minus capital G. Sometimes I write capital I, sometimes small I, so be careful. So now I know for this, what I can write V dash equal to Ig into G. Just check this part. Can I write like this or not? Initially, when there was only galvanometer without any high resistance. So for this, I can write like this or not? Ohm's law. Yes, we can write. So, matlab, I can substitute this Ig, V dash by G here. So R will be V by, what is Ig? V dash divided by G minus G. So this will go up. So V by V dash minus 1, G common. Okay, take G up. First you take G up, then you take G common. Now what is the topic? To increase the range of voltmeter. So you have to consider this as your initial voltmeter, which was measuring up to V dash when there was only galvanometer. So now from here you come here. Now V is N times V dash, right? Because we are trying to increase the range. So if you substitute, what will you get? R equals to N minus 1 G. And what should be G considered? resistance of the initial whatever voltmeter measuring instrument was there. Okay, so you can consider it as galvanometer only, no problem. But now this, in this specific problem, V dash is the maximum voltage which when applied, the current flowing here will deflect the needle fully. So I hope you are all getting the point. The idea is by putting a high resistance here, for same current here, I need to increase the voltage. Yes or no? So your voltage that you are able to measure can be increased by putting a high resistance here. Okay. Again, remember this Ig is not any current. It is that current which deflects the needle fully. So this formula you remember for your entrance. Okay. By the way, what is the resistance of voltmeter? I forgot to tell that one. Resistance of voltmeter. Anybody? Resistance of voltmeter will be what? G plus R. Because those two are in series. Ammeter was, if you remember, ammeter was G into R by G plus R. So small things you need to remember how to convert resistance of galvanometer, how to convert galvanometer into ammeter, how to convert galvanometer into voltmeter. Some standard formulas we have derived that we can use. See numerical exercise 4.3. Numerical exercise 4.3. Numerical exercise 4.3. Question number 1. Okay. Two long parallel straight wires A and B carry current 8 ampere and 5 ampere in the same direction. Two parallel long straight wires A and B carry current 8 amperes and 5 amperes in the same direction, separated by a distance of 4 centimeter. Estimate force on 10 centimeter section of wire A. So for this much section, which is 10 centimeter, let me write. They want you to calculate the force. Already we know standard formula. Force is equals to mu naught by 2 pi I1 I2 by R into L. First topic which I revised was this only today. Those who attended on time, they must have seen the revision also. That is why I keep saying join the class on time. Now, one small thing I will tell, in some books you will find they write here 4 pi and 2. It is the same thing. The reason why they do this is because this value can be written directly 10 to the power minus 7. You can write that way also. So let us substitute now. Mu naught value is 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 divided by 2 pi. Current in the two wires are 8 ampere and 5 ampere. R is the distance between the two wires, which is 4 centimeters. So 4 into 10 power minus 2. And length of the section, this is your length of the section on whom you want to know the force. So on that section, what is the length? 10 centimeters. So 10 into 10 power minus 2. So this 2 will cancel. 2 pi, 4 pi here will cancel. 2. 4 2s are 8. 2 2s are 4. 4 5s are 20. So 200. This 10 is also there, no? Into 10 power minus 7 meter, which you can write 2 into 10 power minus 5 meter. Okay. Everyone understood, right? Direct application, substitution. Force will be in what direction if they ask? It will be towards A. Why towards A? Because it will be attractive, like currents. Done. की चाहिए से दो ना हो की चाहिए से दो ना Done, students? At this time, there will be some noise in the home. Okay. So until I find some studio and all, like this only, you have to tolerate. Question number 2, you see. A circular coil of 300 turns. So circular coil, 300 turns. And radius. So let me draw a circular coil. Radius is R. Radius is 8 centimeter. Carrying a current of 6 ampere. Is suspended vertically. So vertically means 30 amperes. Huh? Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you to tell in the beginning only. Otherwise, problem. So the coil is kept vertically. Vertically means could be here, could be here, but not this way. Not this way. This is horizontally. So they are keeping the coil vertically. In a uniform horizontal magnetic field. So current is coil is kept vertical. Magnetic field is horizontal. External magnetic field. How much it is? 1 Tesla. 1.0. Now, be careful. It is not like I have shown in the diagram. The field lines, listen carefully. The field lines makes an angle 60 degree with the normal of the coil. With the normal of the coil. So, if magnetic field is this way, uniform, the coil is not kept this way. If the coil was kept this way, normal will be parallel. So they are keeping the coil somewhat like this. Okay. So this normal makes an angle of 60 degree. Okay, students. So be careful about that. And current should flow this way so that your magnetic moment will be here. This is your magnetic moment. And magnetic moment is always perpendicular to the plane of the loop. Okay, so basically if this is the plane, they are keeping it somewhat tilt like this. So magnetic field is here, magnetic moment is here, so that angle is 60 degree. Okay. Calculate the magnitude of the counter torque that must be applied to prevent the coil from turning. Right now this will turn because this is the coil. Let me try to show you. This is important, okay, because for entrance, all these concepts are important. So your coil is kept like this, magnetic field is applied here. So 60 degree angle is there. So the moment you leave it, what will happen? There will be a torque this way till these two will become parallel. So the coil will rotate like this, okay? So you don't want the coil to rotate. You want it to hold there. So if you want to hold, you have to balance the torque which is acting on it. So torque acting you calculate, MB sin theta. Be very careful with this theta. It is the angle between magnetic moment vector and magnetic field vector. Magnetic moment is number of turns current into area sin theta. The bad news here is it is a circle. So therefore area is little bit, pi r squared. Pi will come. Pi will come. Okay, so that is the only difficult part. Pi r square B sin theta. So starting from some basic formula you start, then you make it proper. Now you can substitute. So number of turns is 30. Let me write here only. Current is 6. Pi value you can write 3.14. In some entrance exam, I have seen if you take pi 22 by 7, it makes the problem easier to calculate. So try that also. Okay, don't be always hurry to write 3.14. Radius is, remember, what is the radius? 8 centimeters. So it will be 8 into 10 power minus 2 meter whole square. Magnetic field is very nice number 1. Theta is 60 degree. So sine 60 will be root 3 by 2. So numbers are not very good. So here you have to use calculator. Okay. So how much torque does it come? What I am getting is 3.128 Newton meter. Definition of torque is perpendicular distance into force. So unit will be Newton meter. Check once whether you are getting the same answer. Is it same? Yeah. Okay, one small change you see, sometimes in the board exam they will do like this. See, this is the plane. It's very difficult to show you. This is the plane, and let us say magnetic moment will be here, perpendicular, right? Let me show you this way. So magnetic moment will be perpendicular to this, like this. Now, suppose I apply magnetic field here, 60 degree. Then you write 60 degree if this angle is 60 degree. But sometimes they will keep angle with the plane. So if with the plane, if magnetic field with the plane, so this is the plane, this is the magnetic field. So if this angle is given, if this angle, this is angle between plane and magnetic field. So if this angle is given 60 degree, then here how much you have to write? 30 degree. Okay. So you have to be careful about that. So sometimes they may give you angle between plane and magnetic field. So if this angle is given 60, magnetic moment is, remember, perpendicular to this plane. So that will be 30 degree. Okay. So if this is 60, this will be with 30. Again, it's difficult to really draw for me. So basically from top, if you see, if this is the plane of the coil, and if magnetic field is given this way, if this is given 60, then magnetic moment will make 30 degree. That is what I'm trying to explain. But from the top, you have to see. Okay. Another part is there. No, one small part is there. Part B. If the circular coil is replaced by a planar coil, maybe rectangular kind of any other coil of some irregular shape that encloses the same area, but so area is same. All the other particulars are also unaltered. Then will the torque be same or not? They are asking. Would your answer change? So would your answer change? Will your answer change? They are saying if this is replaced by some funny shape like this, some funny shape, but this area is same as this area. Then what will you tell? Will it change? Magnetic moment is current into area, remember. So if current is same, if area is same, magnetic moment direction will be also same only. So since everything will remain same, answer is it will not change. So please write it will not change if the area remains same. What time the class started, students? Can anybody tell me the timing? Don't lie to me, okay? I can check it. What time the class started? 11:30, no? Okay. Last question of this chapter. Oh, no. Second last question. Question number 3. See what it says. In the circuit figure, the current is to be measured. We want to measure the current. What is the value of the current if the ammeter shown is a galvanometer with resistance 60 ohm, RG they are writing. I wrote G, they are writing RG. And part B is a galvanometer described in A but converted to an ammeter by a shunt of 0.02 ohm. And last part is ideal ammeter with zero resistance. So let us do it. So let's draw the circuit. There is a ammeter here. There is a resistance here, 3 ohm. And there is a battery here, 3 volt. 3.00 means 3 volt. In the first part, they are saying this ammeter is, first part, okay, listen carefully. This ammeter is a galvanometer with resistance 60 ohm. I'll write capital G only, nothing else is there, only 60 ohm. So if this is 60 ohm, what will be the current they are saying? Very simple. Current is voltage by total resistance. So voltage is 3, resistance will be 60 ohm and 3 ohm are in series. So what will be the answer? 63. Right? So this will be 21. 1 by 21. 1 by 21 if you solve, you will get 0.047. But please check my answers, okay? Please check my answers. So this is the current. I want to make a note of this current somewhere. Let me call this current I1 so that I can distinguish between the three problems in this part, okay? So if this ammeter is just a galvanometer with resistance 60, then this will be the current. Okay, now second part what they told. In the second part, again we have to find current measured by the ammeter. But in second part they are saying it is a galvanometer described in part A but converted to an ammeter by a shunt of 0.02 ohm. So by a shunt means now there will be a shunt here like this. Shunt will be in parallel. And what is the value of the shunt? Value of the shunt is 0.02 ohm. Okay, you have to draw a separate diagram, students, so that you don't get confused. Now suppose I want to find current. So first what I'll do, I'll find total of these two. So now resistance of the ammeter, let me just put arrow here. So this will be now your ammeter, right? This is your ammeter now. Once you put a small resistance in parallel, it becomes an ammeter. So this ammeter will have how much resistance? G into S, G plus S, because they are in parallel. So it will be 60 into 0.02 divided by 60 plus 0.02. How much anyone got? Well, when I did, I got 0.019. Check once so that I don't have to redo. Yeah. So now this is the resistance of the ammeters. Matlab, you can replace these two by this resistance, right? That is the meaning of equivalent. So now what will be the current? Let me call it I2. Voltage is 3 volt divided by voltage divided by total resistance. Voltage is 3, total resistance is, this total is 0.09 in series with this 3 ohm. So 3 plus 0.019. That will come, if you do calculation, 0.993 ampere. So let me write second current also, 0.993 ampere. Okay, I hope this one is correct. The third part, oh, this is part B. Please write part B and all. Now the last part is part C. in part C, they are saying if this is ideal emitter, ideal. Ideal emitter means we know the resistance. If it is ideal emitter, resistance of that emitter will be 0. So what will be the current now? Let me write I3. V divided by total resistance. If it is ideal, okay, ideal. So what will be the current now? 3 volt total resistance. Don't draw this circuit now. No need to draw this circuit for the third one. For the third one, you know resistance of the emitter is 0 because it is ideal emitter. So 0 and 3 will give you 3 ohm in series. That will give you 1 ampere. 1 ampere. Now, what is the truth? The truth is this. This is the truth. Truth matlab actually in the circuit, when this emitter is not there, actually emitter's job is to just tell the current, not to change the current. So actually in the circuit, when this emitter is not there, 1 ampere is flowing. That is the truth. But in the second case, you see, you got an answer very close to this. Yes or no? Your answer is very close. In fact, if your emitter's precision is not very good, you will be measuring 1 ampere only. So this will be very close to the truth, but this is very far. So when you use directly the galvanometer without making its resistance small, how you made its resistance small in the previous question, if you see, by putting a shunt in parallel. Now for entrance exam, they may tell you to calculate the error, percentage error or something. So if they ask you to calculate percentage error in second case, let me see. First case I will not do. You can try. So percentage error in second case, if they say, what will you do? First find the error. 1 minus 0.993. So this is the error. Then divide by the true value. True value is 1 into 100. Okay, that will be your percentage error. Whatever answer comes, you write. Last question. Then this chapter will be completed. One of the days after I finish the MCQ, students, this chapter is very important. Many derivations are there. So after I complete the MCQs, I will spend one whole class or maybe at least 1 hour time to revise all the derivations. In my style, I will do short style so that you can easily remember. Okay, of course, in exam, you have to write everything, but I will try to do it. I will do all the derivation, but in a easy way, shorter way. Okay. I want to spend 1 hour time for revision because this chapter has many derivations and very important also. Last question, let us do. So I hope everybody understood how I calculated the percentage error. True value minus measured value divided by true value into 100. First PU chapter ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ revision ಮಾಡಿ. Okay, last question now. Question number 4. A galvanometer with a resistance of 12 ohm, so capital G, 12 ohm, shows full scale deflection for a current of how much? 25 milliampere. So this is your IG, 25 milliampere. This is the current which gives full scale deflection current. Okay. And first part of the question is, how will you convert this meter, which is galvanometer right now, into emitter of what range? 0 to 7.5 ampere. So we want to convert this into first emitter. And range of the emitter, what symbol I wrote? Capital I. What is the value? 7.5. So up to this much we want to measure. No? 0 to 7.5 means this is the maximum current. So to convert into emitter, we know we have to connect a shunt, a small resistance in parallel. What was the formula? It was Ig by I minus Ig. Small letter I am writing. into capital G. Okay, just substitute this formula. You have to remember. Okay, just now I derived. So Ig is 25 milliampere. So 10 power minus 3 divided by, this is 7.5 minus 25 into 10 power minus 3 into G. G is 12. Okay. Now the denominator you have to be super careful. Don't subtract 7.5 and 25. Nonsense things don't do. So first what you do is write this as 25 into 10 power minus 3 only into 12. 12 is also there. And here you write this as 7.5 minus this, you can write 0.025. Correct now? 7.5 minus 0.025. Okay, just divide 25 by 1000. Do the calculation. You should get 0.04. 0.04. Okay, so you should connect a very small resistance. How much? 0.04 in parallel. Okay, so at the end you have to write, thus a shunt of 0.04 ohm should be connected in parallel to galvanometer. In parallel to galvanometer. Okay. Then here, if I ask what is the resistance of the ammeter, what is the resistance of the ammeter? Already you know the formula. For this part, if I ask resistance of ammeter, RA, that is G into S, G plus S. G was 12, shunt we calculated 0.04, 12 plus 0.04. Okay, anybody has done this already? Shunt, it will come 0.039. Okay, 0.039. Quite a simple one. Then, if you want to make it into a voltmeter, this is the second part. Let me finish it, students, so that we don't have to repeat tomorrow. So if you want to connect this into voltmeter, you need to know the range of the voltmeter. Up to what range they want? Voltmeter, second part. 10 volt. Up to 10 volt they want. So voltmeter's range is 10 volt. So how to convert galvanometer into voltmeter? Simple. Connect a high resistance in series. What is the formula for that high resistance? What was the formula? V by, I also forgot. So it was Ig into Ig plus Ig into G plus R was equal to V. Yeah, so it will be V by Ig minus G. V by Ig minus G. See, I may forget, but I can derive, no? So what is the voltmeter's range you want? 10 volt. Ig was 12. What was Ig value? Some milliampere they told. 25 milliampere. So 25 into 10 power minus 3 minus 2. So take this up, 10 to the power 4 you can write by 25 minus 12. Divide 10,000 by 25, then minus 12 you do. You should get 388. 388 ohm. Check this answer once, I am not very sure. Is it correct? Correct only, right? So, and then finally, if they ask resistance of voltmeter, you know this RV. In voltmeter, those two are in series. You have to write just G plus R. G plus R. G was 12, R is 388. Okay, 0, 0, 4. Thank you. I hope I did not go extra time. Just 1 minute I went extra. Okay, thank you, students. Have a good day. Write down. tomorrow we will be doing MCQs. So make sure you revise the formulae.